Hey everybody, what's up? I wanted to talk to you today about Ik Multimedia's Pianoverse. I was at the NAMM show and a buddy of mine took me over to their booth and said, hey, you got to try this piano out. And I was very skeptical as a piano player. I thought Ik Multimedia pianos, I didn't associate them with that. And I was absolutely blown away by this product. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you some stuff today of why I think this is one of the most incredible tools for cinematic production when it comes to pianos. We're going to focus today on the Hamburg Grand S274 model that they have, which is really a darker kind of piano. But it's not just the piano like a piano sound. It's a great sounding piano, and the other pianos in it are great. But it's what you can do with it that makes it really unique. So let's get into it, and I'll show you some tricks of what I do and how I use it, both in my film scoring as well as in pop production. All right, let's get into this. I'm not going to show you every single detail about Pianoverse, but instead I'm going to show you some real good tricks with it that I use to really kind of bring it to life and get out of just, using it just as a piano, but more as a composition tool. So let's start with this Hamburg Grand S274. I've loaded that up, and I'll go through this really quickly. Let's take a look at the piano. It has a lot of functionality, from the space it's sitting in to how dark you want it. You can kind of get that felt piano sound if you want. What space it's in, you can put it in a desert, you can put it in a hall, you can put it underwater. They have all these crazy effects for it. And then there's, of course, the mix page right here, and as well as the effects page. And we're going to focus in on this effects page because the effects are kind of the hidden gem of this and what can bring these pianos to life. They've got some really cool things. Basically, there's 3 slots here that you can load up with different kinds of effects. All right, so starting out, I've got a delay here, but you can switch this to any kind of effect, from a filter to an overdrive, to different kinds of reverbs, to some granular effects. You can go through this and have a heyday with that. The second one I have is a shimmer reverb on this, which is kind of an expansive reverb. And then I have a filter, okay, which will kind of knock off the high end with a low pass filter. So what I've done, and what makes this magic, is I've assigned to the fader, if you right click on the input, for example, you can MIDI learn here with any kind of slider you have. On any one of these things, you can MIDI learn. So right now, let's just look. You can see that I'm moving a slider on the keyboard, and it is moving the effect both on the delay and the shimmer. So we get this piano doing this sort of thing. And I can filter it back down. And that's the first one that I do. The other one is I'll put a filter on this, and I've got a filter assigned to another knob, and that will also bring it down from just really kind of a bright sound to go to a dark sound. And you can have this dry or wet, whatever you want as far as this tone of it. Here how it changes the sound over time. And doing film composition and television, changing sound, morphing sound is more engaging, and a lot of times is more cinematic. But even like a pop stand, could be. And then just bring it down for the verse. So there's less going on in there. All right, so I love that. Let's look at an example right now with this. By the way, all these sounds I will make available to you. Happy to show you my settings if you go to Scorecraft Academy, where I teach film scoring, and you can study with me if you like. but these patches will be made available to you. All right. So let's check this out. Let's check this out in a real world situation of what this can sound like. All right, so this next one we're going to look at here is going to be, it's going to be a very ambient patch, but it's kind of going to give you that kind of Dune, Hans Zimmer vibe, really intense, because we're in the first slot, we're picking overdrive. The second slot, we're going to do a plate, and the third slot is going to be shimmer. So it's going to have a lot of ambience, a lot of reverb, but it's also going to have that distorted vibe. So you're going to get a real kind of the cinematic kind of, you know, the same kind of stuff you'd get in Dune or a movie like that. Kind of really good for sci-fi. Let's take a listen to that in action. All right, so this next one I've loaded up, I'm calling the Firm. This is a kind of a delay, also with the Hamburg Grand. I'm using this really cool Convomorph plugin. It kind of makes it fuzzy and can move those things around also with this, but I'm also able to filter it at the same time. And then finally, I'm going to use a delay plugin, and which is in the final slot. And what this, if you ever saw the movie The Firm with Tom Cruise, you had kind of this really cool delayed piano that they use. And so let's check out this in action. All of these examples, of course, I have to move the sliders to kind of interact with the plugin. And that's what I love about Pianoverse, is that I can just really interact with all the features in it at the same time to change things over time and to make things sound more dynamic and more cinematic. I go from dark to light because, you know, scoring a lot of times when we're working on a movie, you know, just that concept of dark to light, or things going from dry to saturated with reverb, those kind of things, they really connect you to the character in the movie, or they can connect you to an emotion. So this thing is like almost like emotions on steroids, changing over time. And you know, when we're working on cinematic projects, our job is to connect people, connect the emotion of what's going on the screen via music. Music is the vehicle. And so any way we can kind of enhance that, we're looking for tools to do that. So let's listen to this one as well. Kind of that Dave Grusin, Don Grusin vibe. I love it. And let's check it out. All right, now finally, let's take some of these elements we've learned, let's put it into a real world composition, and I'm going to show you a really killer technique that you can use with your sampler with Pianoverse, and how to use this to make cinematic loops and pulses, and we're going to use that in this cue. So first of all, let's just start with a basic piano sound from Pianoverse. It's got a little verb on it. And let's record just eighth notes, and we're going to quantize that. And this is going to be the foundation for our pulse, okay? Let's get started here. All right, now I'm going to quantize that. And so all that is simply just me playing eighth notes, right? All right, awesome. All right, now what we want to do is we want to turn that into a sample. And so what we're going to do is first we're going to render it. So on Cubase, it's Control R on a Mac, and we're going to go give it a name, and I'm just going to call this Piano Pulse. All right, and let's bounce that. So in Cubase, they make it super easy to throw it in a sampler. probably in Ableton Live as well. But you can also use Contact or in Logic. I know they have a sampler. So you're going to throw this into a sampler so that you can mess with it and you can mangle it. So in Cubase, all I'm going to do here is if you go here and open up the right upper top here and you go to sampler control, Cubase allows you to just drag any audio file that you've recorded here right into a sampler track. Okay, and so let's do that. I'm going to drag it right in here, and now I have this, and it allows me to play it in real time, which is really cool. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this and I'm going to mangle this just like it is right now. We can do some cool tricks. We can turn this because it's gonna play on different notes. But if I play it on different notes right away, it's not going to be, each note is going to be a different tempo, so they won't line up. That's why you go down here, you hit audio warp. So every sampler is going to have a functionality that lets every note stay in time. So we can do this. All right, so we're getting this loop going. All right, the next step is going to be kind of the chop up mangling process, which is really going to take it to another cinematic level. All right, let's go. All right, so what I've done here is I have taken the start time and moved it to a place on this this timeline so that I am going to use not the original start. And this works really good too if you want to give some creative movement to your samples. But you're allowed to do this and make this on the grid. Let's check it out. So all I've done is move the sample start to another spot. And you can also from here even reverse that sample and you'll get something like this. So we'll get a backwards pulse, which is really cool. You can move it to different octaves, which I love. And down at the bottom here, I'm taking a filter and I can filter the sound of this. And I'm using Metagrid here to allow me to kind of filter this with my iPad. It's a really cool program. All right, from here, all I'm going to do here is on this, I want to add some effects. So right now, I'm going to use Ubermod, which is a reverb plugin, and then I'm going to use which kind of makes it really. It's a great cinematic reverb. And let's reverse this again. So we're going back forward with it and not backwards. And then we can filter that out. I'm going to do it on screen here. See what we get that. I'm just using a filter. So we got that effect. Now I'm going to use Mangled Verb, which is also a really cool cinematic effect. And this is by Eventide. I really love this effect. And it kind of puts a little crispy distortion on there. I love it. Now let's pan it. Let's put an auto panner on it. And this auto panner is M Auto Pan. That's also a free plugin. And now we're hearing it. If you have your headphones on or good speakers, you can hear it going from left to right and back and forth. So we can see we've taken Pianoverse. We've used the guts of it, and we've made this into some kind of a cinematic, really cool, like, you know, you could be great for a kind of a melancholy scene, maybe. maybe a montage. All right, let's take all that and let's put this together in a way that this is going to be used inside of a real world film and TV trailer cue. And I'll show you that now. So I'm going to use the guts of Pianoverse and this process of mangling, and then add some other cinematic effects and drums, and you're going to get a really cool cinematic vibe. All right, hopefully this was interesting to you and you can see the power of Pianoverse. If you're interested in the future in studying film scoring, or you want to get these exact patches for your Pianoverse plugin, go to scorecraftacademy.com. You can find out all about our film scoring training, as well as reach out there and we'll make sure to get you these patches so you can use them in your productions. All right, have a good one. We'll see you on the next one.